I've really been pondering on this question of 30 years. What's it taken me 30 years to learn? And, 30 years is a long time. I was very young. And just kind of heading into secondary school and considering what I wanted to do with my career and my life and everything. So this video is really about personal growth. It's about photography. It's professional. It's personal. I just said that. And I might contradict other videos that I've already done, and that's okay. And we do change, we do feel differently from one day to the other. Isn't it amazing how sometimes a situation hasn't changed one bit, but we feel completely differently about things? What it's taken me 30 years to learn is it's okay to just be you. I don't have to understand everything about myself. I don't have to understand and justify everything, to just accept who I am. What it's taken me 30 years to learn is we have to be our own best friend. Because if we don't have our own backs, nobody else will. Well, that's not always true. I guess what I'm trying to say is no one's coming to the rescue. Well, actually, my brother came to my rescue once when somebody was beating me up. Literally had me in a headlock, punching me in the head and the face. And my brother was the hero of the day, and he ran round into the garden and he literally rescued me. Oh, thanks, mate. Thanks again. Never forget that. But generally speaking, in life, I think it's really healthy to assume that no one's coming to the rescue. We have to get up and do it. We have to do this. We have to find a way. We have to find our way. Because the whys and the what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do and why you feel the way you do and all of these things, getting to know ourselves is the most important thing, because nobody can do this for us. They can help us and they can be there, but nobody can do it for us. And we have to be our own hero, We have to do the hard stuff and show up for ourselves. Going from doing to being. Sometimes within the being, we can take the biggest leaps forward, but sometimes it has to just not be about taking a leap forward and not needing to get anywhere else, and just accepting and surrendering to this moment and everything that's going on right now. And knowing that if it's a difficult time that, we will learn something. They say, don't they, that everybody in your life is either a friend or a teacher. Isn't that beautiful to look at life that way? So it's taken me 30 years to realise that, yes, the trauma that I've gone through has created things that show up sometimes. I self-destruct when I'm at my happiest. Oh, I'm really happy, danger's coming. Don't be happy. That kind of silly thing. But when you recognise it, when you see it for what it is, when you're conscious enough to see these patterns, there is a little way out. There's hope. It's when you're in the confusion and you're stuck inside it and you don't know what's happening, or you don't trust things in front of you, that becomes a scary place, and then you lose your faith in things. It'll all be okay in the end, and if it's not okay, it's not the end. I really like that saying. There are so many sayings You know, people used to get really annoyed with me saying everything happens for a reason, you know, but it helped me. And there might be one thing that helps me that annoys another person, but that's fine. Like, we could read, have you ever had it when you've read a whole self-help book, for example, and there's been one sentence in that book that's changed your life? Well, that's what the whole book was for then. You know, it's not about what we don't get from things, it's the little slither of what we do get can just be so valuable. So sometimes I will say things, and to me it's like a golden nugget. To you it might seem silly or pointless or contradictory to something else I've said, or annoying, or it might irritate you, or it might seem not true for somebody in that position, but I'm always speaking about myself and my experiences and my feelings, and you can just take the bits that resonate and discard the rest. That's the beauty of life. We can choose what touches us and what nourishes us, and what we take into our field and what we take as something that is useful, and if something isn't useful, we can just forget it. I took a photo of that owl that looks exactly like the owl on the front cover of the book that I wrote in 2020. Like, come on. These are the little moments that are so magical that light me up inside. Synchronicities like that, being in the right place at the right time. Or even, you don't assume you're in the right place at the right time, but something from that thing where you were shows up in 2 months that you thought it meant nothing at the time, and you realise then, only later on down the line, that it meant everything. I've had so many experiences where things have played out in my body that have been serious in the eyes of the doctor and the hospital. Or they might be coming out in a serious way, but sometimes they can be extremely simple to put right. And I'm only talking from my experience now, but, you know, I walked out of a hospital once because I had this deep feeling that I didn't need to be there, you know. And they wanted to take my appendix out. And actually, I was on this ward and it was freezing cold and it was the middle of the night. And they weren't listening to me. They just weren't listening. And they weren't being very... They were being quite... And they were annoyed that I was trying to put across how I felt about what was going on inside my body. And it took a lot of courage, but in the end I asked them to take the drip out of my arm, and I walked right out. And I was so judged. They were not impressed. But I knew that I just needed to be in my garden, and that harmony and peace would help me to heal. And it did. And I'm not saying that that's the case all of the time, but I'm saying that we've all got that inner voice, that inner knowing, that deep sense of wisdom, and from all the experiences that we go through. Nobody else goes through those things. We do. And it's so important to hear that inner voice. And to hear it, we have to declutter. You know, we have to grow this faith in ourselves, if you like. We have to wash away some limiting beliefs, some conditioning, so many things. And I think that's what has taken me so long to learn, is that whisper is what's true for me. And it might be really quiet at first, but when you meditate, it gets louder. Look at this place. So yesterday I was out here and I was walking back and I thought to myself, shall I come back and photograph the owl one more time? And I was kind of asking myself, okay, what's the reason that you want to photograph the owl again? Okay, is it the same as when you started? Because when you started, it was absolute pure and utter joy and excitement. I was like a little kid. I was so excited to get up here and wait for the owl and just sit waiting. And the magic that I felt when that owl flew past me was just absolutely incredible. Now, as I came back a few times, because it seems to turn up like clockwork, I started to think, is this still the excitement of photographing it? That's why I didn't yesterday, because I thought, no, I think I'm just trying to get a better photo now so that I can, not feel so embarrassed about my maybe slightly amateurish nature photography. It's partly my kit, I know. I know that a crisper lens will give me sharper images and all of those things. But so is it that? And a little bit of competing with yourself is great. Like, it's good to always want to get better, isn't it? But the other reason I think sometimes we take photos is like fear of not remembering that time, not having the memory. And I know certainly for myself, so many photos that I've taken have been, I don't want to forget this. And I've reached for my camera and I've captured it. And maybe one photo would have done. Maybe I didn't have to get every photo perfect. But I've kind of almost destroyed the moment at times by continually taking photos of that moment so that I wouldn't forget it. In the meantime, an energy that was building up in the room or between me and somebody else that was really alive and full of love has been flattened by me trying to take a photo of it so I wouldn't forget it. And it really goes against what you're trying to do. It's kind of does the opposite sometimes, because you don't feel it as deeply when you're obsessively trying to get a great shot of what's going on. So, wow. There's a red kite just about to fly over. Honestly, I have a zillion photos of red kites. Can you see it? Wow. Just, again, yesterday I was reflecting on photography and why it makes me feel so great and why it's only taken being out here a handful of times for me to really start to feel like me again. And I've been reflecting on, okay, is it because I have a bunch of photos to edit when I get back to the boat? Which, yeah, there's a certain amount of excitement in that. I know that I'm going to be able to play with these photos and see what I've got. And there's that lucky dip kind of feeling. When you were a kid and you didn't know what you were going to get until you opened it. It's like that. It's like, what have I captured? I won't quite know. I mean, these days, the anticipation is taken away slightly by having the screen, but you don't fully know until you get it on the computer, right? And you have a proper look. So there's definitely an element of looking forward to editing the pictures. But yesterday I was thinking, do you know what? I think a lot of it is just the fact that I'm up and out and exercising it's not a chore because I'm walking along with my cameras. So I'm out in the fresh air, I'm out in nature, I'm getting exercise, and I'm being mindful because I'm looking for opportunities to take photos. I'm not caught up in my mind, I'm not procrastinating, I'm not second guessing things. I'm just in that flow state. And that flow state in life, isn't that a wonderful place to be? This is another thing that's taken me 30 years to learn, okay? Flow state. Flow state. Wow. You can be in the flow state cooking, cleaning. In any job, you can get in the flow state. You know, and when you're in that state, it feels like you can rise above. You just rise up, don't you? And there's no stress. There's no kind of pain is lessened because you're in this state where everything just kind of seems to make sense. And you're just gliding through the day and time goes really quickly, you know, and it's an energetic thing. I read so many self-help books when I was younger, and it was all focusing on the mind. All these different therapies for the mind to help your mind, you know, cope with life and stress and depression and anxiety. And it wasn't until I learned about energy that I really started to feel a bit more in control of things, and that I could really manage, like it wasn't as unpredictable anymore. Things didn't catch me out because I knew how to change my state. And I know now about energy and vibrational frequencies and, you know, gratitude being up there, and moving your body into a different state can sometimes be more impactful than things that you can do to try and train your mind, you know. So mind, body, spirit, isn't it? If we look after our mind, our body and our spirit and not neglect any one of those, we can get into such a great state. And that all helps to get into that flow state when we really look after ourselves. And that's another thing I think for me is learning that self-care is not a luxury. I've gone through literally like my whole life probably feeling guilty for resting, unless I'm ill, you know. I'm ill, it's fine. I have to rest now. But self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Particularly if you're a caring person, or if you're in a caring role. You know, you can't pour from an empty cup, and looking after ourselves is so important, and something that we should be grateful for, not feel guilty for. Purpose. I've always kind of thought that purpose, what on earth is that? That is the biggest. No, seriously, it's like a pterodactyl. No, it's a huge red kite. Oh my life, I can't believe it. John Bigglestone's old lens is not coping with that too well. It's gone. Yeah, I think I've had this idea in my mind that your purpose, this kind of golden plaque, if you like, that you're searching for throughout your life is one thing. And you've got to find your purpose. I mean, I was really lucky at school. I knew that I wanted to be a photographer straight away. And I wasn't thinking about purpose or anything like that. I was just like, I want to be a photographer. And that's what I went out and I did. And now I see so clearly that our purpose, we've got so many, haven't we? We've got so many purposes, and they change all the time. And sometimes it seems like your purpose is a really big thing. You want to leave your mark on the world. You want to do something to help people globally. And other times your purpose is simply to be there for somebody, a friend or a family member or yourself, and just make a cup of tea, or, you know, clean the kitchen. Or, it sounds silly, but what I'm saying is we can find importance in the things that might seem less important because they're not huge, but they're just as important equally as everything big that we're doing. And it kind of really lets you off the hook as well. Sometimes when you think, oh, I'm not doing my purpose, you feel like you're racing against time to find that thing and to live it out and to do it. But when you realise that every little thing that you do is your purpose, the little things become the big things, because everything is just made up of these tiny moments in time. These moments of appreciation, these moments where you help a stranger. Something so small to us can be so massive to somebody else if they don't have the capacity at that time to do it for themselves. Honestly, somebody can be just reaching up to the top shelf in the supermarket for somebody. It can be huge for them. We don't know what they're going through and how they could be on the brink of bursting out into tears, right? And you do something that to you've forgotten about the next day. But to them, they'll always remember because you were there in a moment where they felt really broken. And this happened to me a few years back. I was really in a very confused, low state. And somebody, a complete stranger, just came and we walked around this forest. And that had so much impact on me because it was the timing of it was when I really needed it. And I think that is so key. We can have a big impact by doing quite a small thing, which is amazing, isn't it? Isn't that amazing? People are amazing. And things shouldn't feel hard. It doesn't mean if it's harder that it's going to have a better outcome or we've made more of a difference. I can't get over the size of that red kite over there. Sorry, I'm very distracted. It doesn't mean that. I feel things work. I know I always say this, but work shouldn't feel like work. It should feel like play, and things should feel effortless because you reach that flow state. But I'm trying to undo this belief in myself that success comes from so much hard work. And I've worked harder than I've ever worked. Even I relate it to when I got into the fire service, because I worked really hard getting into the fire service and it was physically really hard. But, you know, the past kind of 4 or 5 years, I've worked harder than ever. Writing my book, building the channels up, doing various coaching courses, an aromatherapy course. You know, I carry round now essential oils instead of paracetamol. Life is such a learning curve, and we evolve not only through things that we learn by studying, but also the people that we meet. And one meeting can completely change your life. You can be working at something so hard for so many years and just feel like you're getting nowhere. And then something can happen in one day that can completely change your life. And I love that. I really love that. I'm going to have to just take a picture. I'm just going to have to take a picture of these. Oh, look. You know, I said that I wouldn't have a Z, that I would have, you know, I said I'd have a ZF. I've changed my mind again. Because I think the Z9 is going to be the closest to the D3, and I've already experienced the Z9 as well. And I think that, oh my goodness, they're literally like, playing with each other in the air. I'm sorry that you can't see this. It must be really annoying. I could just turn the camera around, but you probably still won't. No, I'm not going to. You're not going to see them on that camera. Yeah, you know, I said I would have a ZF. I don't think I would now. I think I'd have a Z9 because it's really similar to this. And when the photography part of a capture becomes second nature, it means that you're freed up to interpret things and connect with your subject and, you know, build a rapport if you're with a person, you know, rather than trying to find your way around a new camera that is completely unfamiliar. So yeah, I was thinking the other day, when Nikon decide that my content is amazing and they want to give me a Z9, I will accept. Taken me 30 years to realise that what I started out doing as a career wasn't the only thing that I could do. It took a car accident to realise that I could paint. And then these things are sent sometimes as such a gift. I never would have picked up a paintbrush had I not been able to pick up my camera because of that car accident, you know? And I wouldn't have had all the time on my hands because I couldn't work. I had all this time and I just sat there painting and meditating, and it completely changed my life. And now I have such a beautiful mixture of creative things that I can do. And so now it's about accepting imperfection in my work, you know, as well, I think. And then in 2020, I picked up a pen and wrote my book. When we're in that flow state, we really can turn our hands to anything. And okay, we might need to go do a bit of learning and research, but if it tugs at your heart, if it's something creative that excites you, just do it. Don't fall into the trap of thinking, I don't have a degree in this, I shouldn't do it. I'm going to annoy the people that have studied to do this. I can't be a songwriter. I haven't gone and studied songwriting. If you've got a song that wants to come out, write it. You know, you can always polish it up and tweak bits to make it able to be a song. But I think we put so much pressure on ourselves because of the expectations of others and all these rules that we seem to live by. And I just think getting back to simplicity, getting back to nature, listening to our bodies, listening to ourselves, kind of putting yourself in a bit of a bubble away from the rest of the world is so nourishing and so healthy to do. Because we can get so lost in the lives of other people and just what we've always done. Just because we've always done it, it doesn't mean that we should continue to do it if it's no longer making us happy. Or maybe it never did make us happy. Maybe we just fell into that because it just felt right. Or maybe we just fell into that because it was easy or it was there. It's taken me 30 years to realise it's never too late to have a career change. It really isn't. I think that we've got all these skills and talents and gifts, and sometimes they're saved for later on in life. You know, I was so lucky that I knew that I wanted to be a photographer when I came out of school, but I didn't know that I could write and paint. But I'm glad I didn't, because I need that now, or I would like to enjoy it now. And photography wasn't diluted. I learnt it and I got good at it and I did it as my career. And it wasn't diluted with all these other things. But then I started to, you know, go over old ground and perhaps not enjoy it as much as I was. And then along came painting and along came writing. And so now there's a freshness to my life. And I think when you embrace these opportunities without letting the ego edge God out, without letting the ego say, oh, you can't do that because you've trained as this. Or what are they going to think if you go and have a career change with something you've never done? Or that's a bit dangerous. You shouldn't do that. You've worked so hard at this. Don't waste it. Leaps of faith are called leaps of faith because that you need faith. And they are a leap and they are a stretch. And I've taken some of the biggest leaps of faith of my life in the past 5 years. And it really is the simple things that have brought me back to that feeling whole again. Feeling, yeah, I've got this, you know, feeling a sense of contentment. With just where I am. The irony is that there's a helicopter coming now. I'm not going to say that irony is. It's not ironic at all. So I'm just going to repeat what I started to say right at the very beginning, just in case. I've only got 14 minutes left. Just in case. Yesterday the owl was here at 9 o'clock. I couldn't believe it. So, it's taken me 30 years The owl is here. The owl is here. The owl is here. Did I mention that the owl is here? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. 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 Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Is he going to come over? There he is. Burst mode, come on. See? What the hell is happening? My camera's playing up for the first time it's ever. See? That is... What is it doing? Oh, there we go. Okay. See how easily you can miss a moment by messing around with your camera in a complete panic. And I don't need to panic because I caught this owl so many times. Not very well, but I did catch it. So, what has taken me 30 years? Let's just recap. What's taken me 30 years to learn through my own experience, by the way. You don't learn something... You learn, sometimes you read something in a book and it sticks, but other times you have to experience it for you to really feel it and take it on and take it in and absorb it, you know, and it becomes wisdom or just this, I don't know, the way it is. So, the thing that I've learned is... It's the times that we don't pick up the camera to capture something that we can really connect to it and really feel it in a deeper place within us than the camera can reach. And that is the place where it stays and we hold it as a memory, and not just a memory, a feeling. When you remember something so magical as this moment right now, it's a feeling that you can go back to. But sometimes taking a photo can dilute the feeling. And it can be something between you and that magical moment. And I think that, yes, the ego comes into photography sometimes and we want to get a great shot. or we're scared of losing the moment and not remembering it, and the ego edges God out. And when we just give ourselves permission to just not have to capture it with a camera and not have to get a better shot than we did last time, or a better shot than the other people in the photography group, or whatever it is that sometimes drives us, when we just give ourselves permission, when we decide we don't have to get a better shot than we did last time, or a shot that's good enough to compete with great wildlife photographers, or even be something that we want to show, when we don't have to do that. We give ourselves the space to really feel that moment and connect with it in a very special way. After all, what is the point in wildlife photography? It starts with the photographer. The excitement, the feeling, the rush of seeing something so beautiful out in the wild where you don't know if it's going to show up. That is such a rush, and it's such an energy. And we take these beautiful photos to share with the world and to pass on that feeling. Not just an image of an animal, it's a feeling. Every photo holds an energy. So let's allow ourselves to feel that moment while we capture it, and just give ourselves a few minutes to just sit and really take it in, so that we're just immersed in that beautiful pleasure. And we milk it, you know, we feel so grateful, and it anchors it in there. I do this a lot. I do it in the studio now as well. When I've got smoke coming around a person, I just stop and I just watch for a minute. And I just take it in. Okay, I have 8 minutes before my storage runs out on this vlogging camera. It's also taken me 30 years to realise how grateful I am for everything that my parents did, and how damn hard it was having been a parent. And family are really, 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 really special, and just the family and the friends that become the family that you choose for yourself. It's such a gift to be surrounded by people that love you and care about you. And to just be here right now is absolutely amazing. And just to know that it's okay to be me, I am enough. So I'm going to call it a day. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit subscribe, share this video for anyone you think might inspire. It might inspire. I'm going to wait for the owl, and I'm going to see that putting my camera on live view accidentally and then it going crazy and me not getting a picture was a sign that indeed I just need to take it in if the owl comes back. And leave it on a good note, you know, leave it on a good note. If I don't see the owl again after today, I've left it on a good note of me just thanking the owl for being here. Nature is our biggest gift. And whilst I can take credit for a few good shots, you know, not great shots, but good shots, I can't take credit for nature, you know. God did that. We're just here to share it and enjoy it and capture it and look after it. Okay, I'm going to go tidy up the boat because I have somebody coming and I'm going to do some woo-woo. We're going to talk about essential oils and I'm going to do some healing on her. She's a friend of mine and we love getting together and talking about essential oils and sharing our ways that we use them. We just share ways that we use them in everyday life. Like this is a grounding blend, it's called Balance. And then there's just so many beautiful blends and I use them a lot here on the boat. I absolutely love knowing that they're natural, you know. I believe God gave us everything we need for a balanced life. And I hate the thought of using chemicals and things like that on the boat and putting it into the water. So essential oils are fantastic for that alignment with nature and feeling like you're being good to yourself. Because when you're, for example, cleaning with essential oils, you're just breathing in something that actually supports your immune system rather than can damage it, like the chemicals and bleach and stuff. You're breathing that in and your immune system has to fight it because it's a chemical. This is one of the ways that I helped reverse autoimmune disease in myself. I got rid of the toxins because my immune system was having to fight everything. Things with perfume in. If you look on the ingredients, it says perfume. That's really not good for you. And anything that we ingest, inhale, absorb, it's having an effect on our bodies on a cellular level. When you breathe in essential oils, whether you're cleaning, cooking with it, cleaning with it, you can't cook with all of them. Forget I said that bit, just for your protection. But whatever you're doing or putting them on your skin, absorbing it, it's supporting your well-being. As long as you're not allergic, not saying you should just do this. I'm always having to cover myself. But it's supporting your immune system. You know, I see it like a bank balance. You can be on zero, you can be in the red, or you can be in the plus, in the black. And if you're using toxins, if you're using nothing, you're like, I feel like you're on zero, right? You're kind of neutral. If you're using perfume and bleach and you're taking in a lot of stuff, you've gone into the red. If you're using stuff that's